So welcome everyone to the latest Sasensei SID event. It's been a few months since the last one. I'm really pleased to welcome Katrin and Fabian, who are going to be talking to us today about their efforts in migrating their version of the Information Delivery Portal ready for an M8 deployment. So Katrin, I'll pass the floor to you.
Thank you very much. Alan, thank you for inviting us today. We are very proud that we can speak here. And thank you also for showing us to use SASjs. So I will start now with a presentation, a little one. Do you see my frame?
Yes.
Great. So we will start from here now. So yes, we are replacing the Information Delivery Portal with a lightweight alternative at LVM Versicherungen Münster using SASjs. Why do we do this? So we have to change operating systems on our machines, and we decided to move from SAS 9.4 M6 to SAS 9.4 M8. And this means SAS does not support the SAS Information Delivery Portal, from here now called IDP, anymore. But there are things they will stay on the site, which means the SAS Stored Process web application will be there, SAS Web Report Studio will be there and work, and support for Urlaub cubes and other things too. For our replacement, we decided we want to allow more than 4,000 possible users like we have who are able to read it now. This should be also in our replacement. Then the HTML pages with the SAS objects like stored processes and web reports, and the security settings from the SAS metadata we want also to stay and not to build anything new. So we did an evaluation. What do we have? The content of our existing SAS IDP means we have the HTML pages with portlets and the content in. And we use more than 80% of the portlet pages to present stored processes as links. Then we have portlets with where the executed stored process are seen. You see a little preview already here. And then we have a few web reports as links or also as results of executed web reports. Then a few other links, and the security settings by groups and folders is done by our administrators. Let's have a little bit deeper look. We prepared 3 test pages for today in our productive SAS Information Delivery Portal. And as you see here on test page 1.1, we have just 2 portlets. The one here, collection 1, with just a link to a stored process. And the other one also a stored process, but in the stored process portlet. And this means it is just executed, and you see the result right here. This means for replacing the portal, we need information about the pages which are needed, the rows and columns. The pages are organized, then the portlets in it, the members of the portlets, the positions, and the execution status has to be collected. Here, another test page 2. I just show the difference. We have here 2 columns, and here we have a few stored processes in a certain order. We want to keep this order for our customers when we replace the portal. And another thing is As you know, the SAS Information Delivery Portal, you know, there are home pages where people could have done individual collections of portlets. We decided not to migrate them. So what do we want to get? We want to keep a few basic functions of the SAS IDP. This means we want to have HTML pages with group access, keeping structure and order of content, the possibility to put content on a new home page. So the people can do this, can work with this feature too. The possibility to mark content as favorite, searching for description of content and searching for keywords, and the security should be done by SAS metadata. Here downstairs you see already a little preview how it looks like what we've done. So what does it mean for the data? We did really little data models. And you see here from left to right, we need to know the page, the name of the page, then the portlets, which are now panels, because it's done in HTML, then the link description for each entry, the link URLs, and here I've green marked the things for layout, position of an entry, which row the portlet is, which column, and a status here if it's directly executed or not. And last but not least, groups who are able to read is an information which is joined to each entry. This green field here means that these informations are added manually. So the really next data set we built is just page name and the group who's able to read it. And here, just as a demonstration, this is a metadata variable who shows where the permission can be kept. And then we have to know for each user, for Fabian and me here, in which groups we are member of, to bring the security together. And the last thing is that we just take the page name and the link descriptions, additionally with keywords for searching in the migrated portal. So we did this, we collected information and started a prototype. We looked for an HTML page with similar look and feel as SAS IDP, and this was easy, could be found by Bootstrap. Then we put data in, like you told before, like our models, and put the websites on the web server with access to the SAS server. And then we used JavaScript and CSS, some from Bootstrap, and also new functions and modified things. As we saw, yes, well done, it worked. And we will go this way. There was the step to build all needed data as automized as possible. So anything for structure of the web pages contents, the security, and anything else. And this all is done just by SAS macros and routines and little manual input. So now to give you an idea, I changed to SAS Enterprise Guide in the program which collects the most information. So you see here a data step, which is using functions like metadata get an object. These functions are used down here for about 120 rows to step through, starting from a portal page down through the tree to layout components, portlets, and at least the members which are in the portlets. I just execute this, and you can find information about using these metadata functions on the documentation pages of SAS, and also in a lot of macros Alan offers on the SAS.io homepage. So what I wanted to get is really a one view page data. You see here for our test page 2, which had 2 columns, and here a lot of entries. The link description, we got the URL to call them. Here are the variables to fill in manually. And then we have the object ID. And just to show you here, the tree name with, yes, I can put it here, the tree name, which I told you can get the permission for the page. Okay, here I have to change a thing. Good. What I like to show you also is just another example for a certain folder and a certain entry. This is a macro MD6DS, which thus offers on the homepage. And this will give us the groups who are able to reach each content. So you see here 4 groups which are allowed to read these content, and the right to read is enough for us to know which entry should be seen on the portal. So, okay, that's all for now here. And I change again. I have to step here one step further. Yes, okay, now. So after we had all this data, then there was the next step to create web pages on the fly on a web server from SAS data. And here is a point where SASjs came to place. JavaScript, CSS was used, and to show the direct results of executed programs, iframes were used. I would like to switch now to Fabian. Now his part is starting.
Yeah, thank you. Bart, could you give me the access to share my screen?
Yes. So.
Thank you. So first we start, I think, with the SAS.js part that we used. We created a lot of stored processes using the SAS.js macros that came with it to build the connection bridge between our SAS data that Katrin built and our web pages. Here we have an example of a stored process that gives us all the security data that we need, or another stored process that
Fabian,
builds the connection.
Sorry to interrupt. Would you mind zooming in a couple of points?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Like this. Yeah.
Du bist im Bild.
Yeah. Yeah. And here we have another stored process that gives us the user data, and also lets us be able to write user data for our home pages and the favorites back to our SAS data. What we do with it in the end is this page. It displays one of our test pages, test page 1.1 in our group 1. We can have a grouping for pages which are connected on a technical level, for example, of a different branch of our insurance company. All the different pages could be grouped like this. And we see we have one portlet that lets us just display the link to a stored process. Another one lets us directly execute and display the result of the stored process. We can also, if there's some kind of problem in the stored process, just refresh it. And in a couple of moments, it should reload itself like this. Yeah, we can also add favorites to our favorite page. And so every time we can access them from up here. With also all the other pages like this, with just 2 columns and just URLs and links without any direct execution. And what we also have, but created newly and not by migration, is a homepage where every user can customize for himself or herself what kind of panels he or she want to have displayed on the main page. We can just add another one and it get added. We can also just add custom links. For example, if you want to have a specific profile from your company that you want to access from here, you can just add it and it gets saved here as well. Then we switch back to the code. The whole base of our product is Express.js server, which is built on top of Node.js. Just simple routes with GET requests that render the sites, which are EJS sites. Nothing special, nothing fancy, just normal sites. The sites that get displayed are built like this. I think I'm better zooming out a little bit. Yeah, it's normal HTML files with a little extra spice, which is in the script block up here. Here we build the connection to SASjs or to our SAS server via SASjs, and read all the data that we use and read the user storage with the favorites and the home page. And here in the start page execution, we build the page that has to be displayed. Here, this is the file for the main page, where another little stuff about the panels for the homepage is added, but other pages are just like this. The normal body of the page with the init SASjs block, and then nothing more. We can also see here that there's no display of data yet. That gets added by each page load manually, not manually, by automatically via our JavaScript functions. It reads the page title, and by that it collects from our SAS data what it has to display on the page. And because of this, the pages are really easy to create and edit. So we have one big script where we just add on the top what pages we want to have, what groups we want to have, and then we run it, and it creates all the different files and pages that we have to display on the file. Then we come to our main block of the scripts. The starting point is always a start page. It gets executed on every page load, and it goes via the page title, and by that, in a really big function here, it decides what rows it has to display, what panels it has to display from data, how the security is like that. We can actually look at that, how the security works. What at the start. Here it gets the session data, which are saved as security. Those are collected at page load as well, also via SASjs, and through that we see if the user is an admin, he gets to see everything. If not, we go step by step through each security file if he has to allow if he has the allowance to really see the data that we can show here. And so for every bit of information on the page, we can decide step by step if it's allowed to see. The same goes also, if I go a little bit down, to our sidebar that we have here. Now, because I'm an admin, I get to see everything. It's also just not that much. But on our main page, we have way more stuff in the sidebar, but not every user has to see everything. Not every user is allowed to see everything. So also in the start page function, we execute check sidebar, and for every bit of information in the sidebar, we check if it's in the security, if the user is allowed to see it. Yeah. There's also another bit extra steps that could be taken in the future about refactoring performance, also to stop using the public CDN files for Bootstrap, because then we are dependent on public internet storage. But right now, we have built this SAS portal to display all the data. And then I think back to Katrin. And Katrin, your microphone. Thank
Yes, I have to share again, I think. Just a moment. So here we are. At least we've done it here, the last live demo Fabian did. And now we're already at the end of our presentation, and I've put here a few helpful links. First, the homepage SASjs, and really helpful, a lot of macros you can find there, and SAS documentation here for the metadata model and using functions and creating such things we did with metadata functions and routines. So thank you very much. If there are questions, we are happy to hear them.
Thanks, Katrin.
Yeah,
that's very.
well.
Yeah, thanks both. That was really an interesting presentation. Are there any questions in the? Feel free to put something in the chat or bring yourself off mute.
One comment. The SASjs macros are also available as a package. I put the link into the chat window.
Yeah, you can get the SASjs core macro library from the GitHub. You can get it as a SAS package, and it's also on SourceForge.
One technical question, well, not technical, I would say community question, because you've said that you decided not to migrate this part of the portal which had this dedicated users selected reports. Was there like a lot of unhappiness because of this? I mean, was this part of the SAS product used a lot in the previous version of the portal?
This is a good question. This is the reason you told already. They didn't use it really a lot. So then we decided it's to find out or to move all things, if used or not used. We decided to do this not. And I think from this 4,000 users, maybe 20 used this intensively, and there was no need to migrate this.
Yeah, the core of the whole portal was the pre-built pages, and if one or two users or a couple of more users really want to keep their home pages, we have either the option to just build them with our new homepage, or we can migrate them manually. But to migrate them all automatically would be way too much work for way too little result.
Good morning, guys. Well, good afternoon for you guys, but it's early morning for us in the States. Thank you for the presentation. It looks very, very helpful. What I wanted to ask is, this is more of a, in prepping for other users to come in and embark on the same experiences you have, what kind of technical skill sets you needed to have in your team to undergo such journey, especially when we're trying to compose a team to undertake this effort. If you can highlight that, please, for us.
Yes, you see the team here on the screen. This are we both. And my part is the SAS programmer part to find out, to find the information and the metadata and all these things. And the web page part is Fabian's. But Fabian, if you want to say something to this.
Yeah, I think you could say that we had help from our SAS admin in our team. So you could say we are not 2, but 2.5 people. But yeah, he helped us a lot with the server part and the whole administration part about that. But I think the main knowledge that is required is on Katrin's part, the really deep knowledge of all the SAS data steps and all the steps she needed to take. And for my part, I both in university and here in the company, I had my experience with web development, so that helped. I think if you were a really knowledgeable web developer, you could have also built a server with Angular or React or stuff like that. We've decided to stay really basic with basic JavaScript. So also other people that aren't that knowledgeable in those technologies can step in and program some part of that themselves. But I think those are the main parts required.
How much of Node.js you needed to know of?
Not that much. I tried a little bit around. That didn't get its place in the end product. But I think the main part is really base level.
Thank you.
I think we have to say, Fabian, that Alan showed us how to use SASjs.
Yeah.
So Alan was also on the team from time to time.
That's a given. You know, he's the SASjs go-to person. So yeah, thank you.
I don't think we've had more than a couple of half-hour sessions. But yeah, on that topic, I'm curious if you would have any kind of idea, like finger in the air, how much time you saved on the project by using SASjs.
I think we have to answer the question differently, because I think without Dust.js, we hadn't really any solution in mind to solve that, or not a solution that would really solve the problem at the root cause. Like we had to get all the data from our SAS storage displayed, and this was the only real connection that we found to use it. Or do you have an estimate about the time saved, Katrin?
I think this is difficult because we didn't had experience to put SAS data to JSON objects, and just in such an easy way is done for us, like a black box. It works. So I can't imagine which time we saved, but we
Maybe if I
sure
could flip
saved
it
a
the
lot.
other way, then how much time do you think you spent learning SASjs?
In the beginning, a couple of hours to understand how all different parts work together and what kind of configuration I have to give in to get it to work. But when it was working, it worked, and we didn't really come back to that. It just did its thing. But I think a big, it could have been even less hours to learn it, because a big problem in the beginning was just customization and different options in our SAS server. I think if we had found the right configurations a bit faster, it could have been even speedier. For example, I spent way too much time with course errors, way too much time.
On that note, if I may ask another question, on the subject of web server, understand SASjs, the macros lives on the server side, on the SAS server side, but all your pages, you're hosting them, and the pages are associated with the JavaScript and the CSS. You're hosting them on the SAS supplied web server with the ABI, or you had to go to a different web server for that?
Right now, we are on the same server that our SAS web part is on, but we're working really. I think it was easier to work this way because now we're already on the same domain. There's a lot of other parts, so we didn't have to configure some cross-domain stuff. But I think you're not really, you don't have to stay on the same server. I think you can just deploy the server wherever you want to.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Then I would like to thank Katrin and Fabian for sharing their experiences.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, Bart, we can stop the video if that's okay.